What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Goodol'boys channel. Today I'm showing you how to install a new chain and sprockets. Here we go. First things first, guys, we got to change these sprockets out, putting new sprockets on the front and back because we're putting a new chain on as well. So very simple, very easy. Remove these two bolts first. This little piece twists and pulls right off. Now we can slide our sprocket off, take it out of the chain. If you guys are changing your sprocket and you see grass like this, just pull it off of there. We're gonna go ahead and clean the cob, clean the sprocket plate. We're gonna take some waterproof grease, grease the cob so your splines don't get ruined by rust and wear and tear. Wipe the excess off. You want a little, not too much. We're going with a 16 tooth front sprocket this time. I would take the new sprocket, put it in the chain, and slip it on the cog. Take your retainer, slide it on, twist it, install the bolts. Put some grease on your bolts if you need to. Right around 70 to 80 inch-pounds is a good torque spec on these. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can just snug them up by hand. You don't want them too tight. Just snug. That's it for the front sprocket. Now to the back sprocket. So I got a new sprocket here, 42 tooth sprocket. Most of us at this point know that this Hawk has these special studs. They go in the bigger hole on this JT sprocket, and you have to make sure that the flat spot is lined up with the edge of this circle. I live in Ohio where things rust and never come apart, so I'm gonna put a little bit of anti-seize on here on each stud as we go. Before I slide this together, I'm also just gonna take my finger and put some anti-seize on these little studs or dowel pins, whatever you wanna call them. Put some around the edge of this. All right, now you guys will notice the sprocket's not wanting to drop down in here, so I've tightened these down a little bit so they're not exactly lined up. So sometimes you'll have to loosen them in order to get them to go down in there. I'm not gonna be able to get my snap ring on here. So what I'm gonna do is actually go around this thing with the old sprocket and just tap these bushings down a little more. So as you guys could tell, I had to tap on the sprocket a little bit. I just put new bushings in the wheel, the sprocket dampening bushings. If you guys are interested in part numbers and where to find those sprocket dampening bushings, I'll have a video linked in the description box below that will have all the information in it. All right, that looks a lot better. Don't forget to put your snap ring on. We only use the best tools and techniques on this channel. All right, there we go. You guys can see what I did there to set the snap ring. It's nice and tight. Now for the torque spec. Hopefully you guys can see this. We have foot-pounds on this side, and we're set at 0 on 30 foot-pounds. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. I think 30 foot-pounds is just about right. It's not too much, it's not too little. It's gonna be easy to take your sprocket nuts off, and it's also not gonna be over tightening these. So I would say 30 is exactly where you wanna be on your torque spec. Alrighty guys, so it's time to put our new chain on the bike. First things first, you have your new sprockets installed. Now what we need to do is adjust these adjusters all the way loose. I'm actually gonna take the back nut off of mine completely on both sides, and the front nut is going to go all the way to the back like that. Now we're gonna go ahead and take the rear axle and move it all the way forward. Now it's time to open up the new chain. So this is what I have here. I bought it off Amazon. I'll leave you guys a link in the description box below. It's an X-ring drive chain, heavy duty. So here's a quick little look at the box. You can see it's 134 links. Here's the back side. All the specs and the link to this chain will be in the description box below. All right, so we open this thing up. All your goodies are going to be at the front end of the pack here. Chain comes out next. Make sure there's nothing else in there. We're done with that. Perfect. Got that opened up. Now we'll open up the small goodies pack. You want to be careful. This is an X-ring chain, so we have a little bit of grease. You have 4 seals. You're going to have your whatever you call this thing and the clip. Set this stuff in a safe place where it won't get knocked around. Now we're going to start laying our chain out, and I put one end right up over this back sprocket, feed the front end over the front sprocket. You can see how I have the chain laid on the front sprocket. My bike is not in neutral, so I'm going to put it in neutral and just roll it around and feed it back out through the back. All right, so you guys can see we have some overlap here, so we're gonna have to take some links out. Once you found your spot, take your chain back off. So on my chain, I'm gonna take 3 links off of here, so I'm gonna be removing this pin. So I have a quick little tidbit for you guys. Imagine this is the full-size chain. Basically, when you're extracting a pin, you want the end of your chain to look like this on both ends. So you're going to have one end that looks like this. Same with the other side. You want it to look like this, because what's going to happen is you want your master link to slide through both of these inner links, and that's what makes a connection. If you're shortening your chain and one end looks like this, that is incorrect. So here's the difference. Right, wrong, right, wrong. You want to remove the pin so that you end up with 2 inner links at both ends of your chain. You want to get a handy dandy vise, put your chain in it, and grind your link flush. So this is what my ground down link looks like. I actually ended up grinding down into the link a little bit. If you do this, just don't go too far, but it does make the pin a little bit easier to remove. Next, you're gonna need a healthy hammer and a couple of punches. I'm gonna start with a big punch with a tip on it. You guys could also use a chain buster or chain breaker. Probably be the easiest way. Okay, there we go. It's already coming out. Alrighty guys, so I have a socket here. Put your chain and pin in the socket. I have a pair of vice grips with a nail in it. You just punch it out. All right, simple as that. Don't forget there's a couple of O-rings on either side of the chain. It's good to hold on to these just in case. Now we put the chain back on the bike. All we have left to do here is connect the chain. Just make sure you don't have any sand or anything on the links. Mine looks pretty clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of my green grease here and just put it all over the chain, basically where the quick connect is gonna go. We have our quick connect piece that looks like this. That obviously goes on next. I'm gonna grease it up too. Okay. You have your 4 O-rings. You want 2 of them. So you want 2 of them here, and make sure they've got some good grease on them. Slide them on your thing. Should look like this. I'm gonna move the grease, take my link, and I'm sliding it through the back side here. All right, so we have 2 more seals. There's already plenty of grease on here, so I think we'll be all right there. Put your seals on. Now what we're gonna do is take our cover piece, this piece that looks like that, slide it on there. Now, this is the tricky part, of course. You've got to get everything seated. Now, the last thing we have here is our retainer. Now, the retainer, it's very important which direction this goes. So the chain is going to be rotating this ways. So you want the closed loop side. Can you see that?
Yeah.
You want this closed loop side to be facing towards the back. The open end is facing towards the front on the bottom side of the chain here. Now when it goes around, it'll flip and it'll be the opposite way. So if you're installing your link on the top, the closed side needs to go forward. But again, we're on the bottom, so the closed side is pointing towards the back of the bike. Now all we need to do here is take our vice grips or our needle nose pliers and slide this thing on here if possible. These O-ring chains are tricky, guys. Just take your time and it'll go on there. All right, perfect. Some of you guys may have noticed there's no chain guard on the swing arm. That's for a good reason. It's coming up in an upcoming video, so be sure you subscribe. And it might already be out, so if it's already out, I'll put it in the description box below. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out the description box below. We'll catch you guys on the next video. Woo!
It's all about humanity.